Good morning, guys, and welcome back to it. Your Tobago Thursdays continues here on Now. And actually, since November 19th was International Men's Day, we are having a conversation that is very, very necessary. The plight of black men and boys is what we're exploring with our next guests. So joining us via Zoom, we have Dr. Jyoki Wayne, professor of the University of Toronto, and Michael Stewart, the founder of Be Men and organizer of Boys Polishing Camp, to give us some insight on how the approach will be taken. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Now.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here too.
We are actually happy that you guys are having this conversation because, like we said, we observed International Men's Day recently. So persons are very receptive to conversations around the plight of men and boys. But usually we say ladies first. I would like to start with Michael this morning, though. In light of that, give us a little bit of a roundup, if you will, of what you think the plight of men and boys in Trinidad and Tobago looks like right now. So we have context as to why this expression, why this presentation and conversation needs to be had.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, let's look at the Tobago context as to what we see as some of the plights of men and boys. And this is not really with the research that the doctor is doing, but we're looking at what is taking place. When you drive through, and I'm going to take Tobago, for example, some of the villages, the number of young, viable men and boys who are sitting on the blocks is really alarming, because the number of hours that they spend sitting down on the blocks, unproductive. Nothing is wrong in having a lime. Nothing is wrong in having a time with each other to bond. Right. But really, and I suspect that you have some of that same in Trinidad, where they are in the bars and they are drinking and liming, etc. That's a number of productive hours that are that are not being engaged in a way that can advance the country. That's just one. When you look also at the number of young black men and boys who are on substance and self-medicating, using drugs for the issues, etc., that also itself is alarming. And then we had talk about the fatherlessness, the number of men who are not in their own homes to be with their children. You have that also. If we go to boys, we talk about the unemployed boys and the unemployable boys, because they have no skill, they have no academic qualification. That has tremendous effect for the future of the country. And then finally, I want to talk about the preoccupation that they have, a number of boys have with playing games on social media. They are very good on the game side, but to use a very computer and laptop to be able to do something that is productive, that we recognize is also short incoming. And so that's just a synopsis of some of the challenges that I see here with the boys and men.
Dr. Wade, in terms of research and perhaps statistics, will we have actual numbers and data for the Trinidad and Tobago area or the region as a whole? What are we looking at?
Thank you for asking those questions, and Michael literally confirmed my research findings. Mm-hmm. In terms of the research that I've done, and I did research in Canada, Jamaica, and Kenya. Okay. In Kenya, I interviewed 40 boys. In Canada, I interviewed 50 boys. This is when I say boys, men and young boys. And in Jamaica, another 50 young men and the boys. Interestingly, so you can say technically about 150 people, 140 people participated in this research. And what I found is exactly what Michael is talking about. Interestingly, if I can give you just a little bit of example, a little bit of the background, what made me to do this research, it was because I am originally from Kenya, and the same picture that Michael is talking about, driving around, all that I see is, young boys loitering around and they're not doing anything. At the university, and I said, why is this happening? And at the university where I teach, at the University of Toronto, the majority of the students are women. When I was teaching in one of the universities in Kenya 2 years ago, the majority of the students are women. So I started asking questions. What's happening? Where are the boys? And my research is exactly like that. Where are the Black boys? Exactly like that. And all kinds of, I have found all kinds of reasons. I mean, all kinds of results. Number one, the young people I interviewed and the men I interviewed, they said they felt pushed out of the school system. They felt because of the emphasis of the girl child, they were neglected. They felt they are not useful to society. And some of them talked about poverty and so on and so forth. So there is a problem, but I think based on the research I found, I think there is hope. I think I am hopeful that something can be done if we address some of the problems that the young men are having.
Well, we know that you will be addressing some of those problems in the presentation and discussion carded for December 3rd. I know that it will feature, of course, Michael as a speaker, yourself, Dr. Wayne, as a speaker as well. But beyond the actual presentation, Dr. Wayne, will we see this research being presented in any other format, a book or a site we can go to perhaps?
Oh, there is a book coming out. There is a book that I'm co-editing with my students, the ones that participated in the research, and also my partners in Jamaica and my partners in Kenya. So there is a book coming out.
Beautiful. And that means, Mr. Stewart, if we wanted to be a part of the actual discussion, though, we might need to register, not so?
Yes, that's right. And we encourage people to go to my website, which is www.michaelatstewart.com. That is www.michaelatstewart.com. You click on the icon upcoming event. You'll see the flyer there and you click on it. It will tell you add to cart, but it is a zero balance. It is not that you have to put in your credit card or anything like that. Beautiful. It is a zero balance and you put in all your information and there and you register. Now this is live, so Dr. Wan is going to be here in person. Yes. So it is not online. So it is important for people to understand that you must be in Tobago at the Scarborough Library for it. At some other time, who knows, we might be able to do something that is virtual. But for now, this one is live because we want the discussion to take place. We want the men and boys to open up, and women are invited to attend. Everybody is invited to attend. Teachers, person. We want the ordinary person who is on the street. We want the persons who are dealing with caregiving for children, etc., to come out in this event. It is going to be an eye-opener, and we want to encourage you very much to set it on your calendar.
Right. They are setting it for 3 p.m. and heading to the Scarborough Library, 3 to 5 p.m. And as you rightfully said, that's everybody is welcome because there is a question and answer segment that we can actually interact with our speakers on, yes?
That's right. That's right.
Making sure I get it right. Because we will try to get our hands on that book, but until then, we can be part of the research, part of the conversation, and make that impact at the library itself on Tuesday. Now, I must ask Mr. Stewart, this is just one way that you're going to make that sort of impact and explore the plight of men and boys. What can we look forward to from you next?
Well, we have been trying ever since, for the last 8 years, we do something called the Boys Polishing Camp. So we train boys to grow up into gentlemen. So we train them with some of the skills that they should have, how to eat with knife and fork, how to dress appropriately for different events. And the pants on the waist is not, and the jeans is not for every single event that you go to, and the jersey, etc. We teach them how to manage their emotions. We teach them how to be able to resolve conflict so that they can be able to resolve it without having to become in contact with each other. You can be able to use your words and rather use your force to be able to resolve conflict. This is not only necessary for them as they interact with each other as men, but also how they interact with their wives, their mothers, their sisters, and or women, to be able to use language to be able to sort out your issues. So we do that for the boys, and then of course we do counseling for the men and the couples, etc. I'm a licensed marriage officer, and so I spend quite a number of time, not only with people in Tobago, because I have persons that we do online from the UK, United States, different Caribbean islands, etc. So we do those virtually. So we are continuing to do our efforts to bring together and to develop the men and boys in our community as much as possible.
Well, Mr. Stewart, let me say thank you very much for continuing to do that work to make sure that not just the plight of boys and men are heard, but to development, to enhance them, to support them in ways that we as people can do across the country and across the globe. And to you, the good doctor, for lending your services, your time and your insight. We appreciate your efforts as well. Thank you both very much for joining us this morning on The Now.
Thank you very much. December 3rd.
Thank you very much. Can I just say one?
Sure, we have just about 10 seconds.
Yeah. I'm making sure that within the curriculum, those issues are addressed so that the schools get involved in producing a curriculum that is the young men are engaged so that they don't drop out of school. Last but not least, I do have a conference that I hope people from TT will be involved on the 19th of April, 2025, and it will be virtual. So hoping everybody will join me at that time.
We will definitely check in with you before then, but for now, thank you again for joining us on The Law, and get ready to head on over to the Scarborough Library on Tuesday, December 3rd, as the plight of men and boys will be explored through these incredible speakers joining us on The Now. Guys, we take a break, and when we come back, we're switching up the vibe a little bit, talking parang and pan here on TTT.